Hello, hello, and welcome to Project Zero, where we hear about the journeys of some of the best project managers in the game. My name is Alex Tuck, and I'm the host. I'm here with my friend and productivity nerd, Jacqui Myslinski. Jackie is a fixer of broken ops, a recovering perfectionist, a ClickUp expert, and speaks fluent sarcasm. She's the founder of the consulting firm Productivity Nerd. Welcome to the podcast, Jackie.
Thank you, Alex.
So, Jackie, tell us a little bit about yourself. I gave you a little intro there, but tell us a little bit about
Yes.
yourself for the guests and how do you help your clients at Productivity Nerd?
Yeah, thank you. Well, a little bit about myself. I feel like I've truly been a Jackie of all trades throughout my career. You like that?
It's
A
awesome.
jacket of all trades. I stumbled into project management. I started my career in sales and marketing and operations and entrepreneurship now for the second time, and just fell into project management because of my color coded planners and calendars and all that sort of thing. But at Productivity Nerd, I help to clients to build workflows that don't suck. And I like to call myself the Marie Kondo of project management. So if you don't know that book, it's basically you're tidying up and clearing out all of the physical clutter in your life. But for PMing, I like to clear out the digital clutter in people's lives and in their head and just help you to be more productive in your work.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for that overview, Jackie. Dig in a little bit more about where it started. I know you helped start a brewery and do all sorts of cool stuff. I'm just curious where you would pin that first, like when did you
Oh,
start getting into project management without knowing even what project management was?
yeah, that's you know my story. We've chatted a lot, but I would definitely say starting the brewery. My dad and I were both unemployed back in 2000, when was it? 2011. My dad was in the mortgage industry and the housing market tanked. And at the time, I had an undiagnosed narcolepsy diagnosis. So I got let go from a job because I couldn't show up on time. And we were both unemployed and we homebrewed and we had said, if we can get the funding, we could get a brewery off the ground. And yeah, Alex and I have chatted a lot about beer and we had a 25 barrel brewery in New Jersey. And that was a hell of a project. Writing the business plan and getting SBA funding and looking for a location and signing a lease and getting vendors and coming up with a production schedule. And I had no idea at the time that it was a project, but I was always the person when we had snowboard trips that had the spreadsheet that was color coded and assigned people things to buy at the store before we came up. And so I was always the super detail oriented, organized person. And my dad and I were a great complement to each other for the brewery because he was more the numbers and the finance, and I was the bigger picture, let's get it all organized and kind of moving in the same direction. So, I always like to call myself that accidental project manager. Which I love to tell that story because I another quick story, I was on a flight, actually flight coming home from Orlando, and somebody said to me, "Oh, well, are you traveling for work or for personal?" And I said, "For work." "What do you do?" "Well, I'm a project manager." And they said, "Oh, construction?" And I feel like that's such a common thing when you say, "I'm a project manager." And went, "Well, no, not really." So I love to be advocate's probably not the right word, but just a cheerleader for, you don't have to be a textbook project manager and manage these multi-bajillion dollar bridge constructions to call yourself a PM. And I've lived and breathed that my whole career.
I love that. Yeah, and so it sounds like you already have been like the family planner kind of person in your family. Like, was there
Mhm,
any like educational experience that you had, like either in college or earlier, or like a
mhm.
childhood experience that like turned you into that organized person?
A childhood experience or I there's nothing that comes to mind that says this was my defining moment. A defining moment maybe in my childhood that really pushed me to, like, maybe give me that entrepreneurial spirit, and I'll never forget this, and I still bust my parents' chops about it, is I went to a sales competition my senior year in college. It was a national competition, and I remember the top 4 kids got a custom-made suit, and I placed 6th, and I was
Oh my
pissed
god.
off. And I called my parents, and I was all excited, I told them about it, and my mom, I would never forget the tone of her voice. My mom says, "Wow, I we really didn't think you had it in you." I'm like, "Thanks, thanks for the vote of confidence. Thank you." And I guess I never realized that was their mindset, and I'm like, "Damn it, like, I am gonna do" not that I had to prove something, but I've always had that mentality, like, "I've gotta prove something." But I went to school as a chemistry major initially, switched to sales and marketing, and the detail the detail orientedness of me in that sales class where I got picked for the competition, we had to sell cereal to the professor in front of a class. And I had went and I taught myself Photoshop back in college, made myself little coupons and printed them out and had props for this sales demo mock-up. I mean, and just little things like that over time, like, just became my thing, like, those little details, those organizational things that other people didn't wanna do, because nobody likes to organize things, but I did, and, I don't know, nothing really defining, but there's little moments in time that have, I feel like, snowballed, that have just made me the PM that I am.
That's awesome. No, I think that's great, and I love that story of going from chemistry major to marketing to running ops to now project manager.
Mhm.
Part of this show, part of the goal of this show is to teach folks that there's no direct path to being a project leader.
That
Like
yes, the
she's a pre-med major, and
yeah,
then she's like,
huh,
"I'm not doing this," right? And so
yep,
now I'm gonna go
mhm,
this direction. Anyway, it's
yeah,
fun stuff.
yeah.
Cool. So would you say, I think I heard you say like you were mostly doing operational kind of stuff, like marketing slash operational kind of stuff before you moved
Mhm,
into project management. Did that feel like an
yeah.
easy transition for you?
It did. So, yeah, most of my project management experience is internal projects, operations. Again, at the brewery, I would manage when there was a new beer coming out, the promotional schedule with getting flyers made and putting sell sheets together to go out to the bars and events at the brewery. And after the brewery, I was a director of operations at a ad agency. And my job or one of my hats there was to manage internal projects. So it was a very serendipitous transition because I was still doing operations, but I was managing internal projects. And when you asked about a project zero, this story had come to mind where this agency that I was working with, here in New Jersey, they've got this huge, beautiful facility in this giant theater, and the owner wanted to create a program to rent out the theater, like to Chamber of Commerce's or Rotary clubs or something to use that space to make a little bit of extra money. So I was the point person on this internal project. And at the time, the owner of the agency had this big initiative for you know, all of the like marketing people to get Facebook ad certified and SCM Rush certified and all this stuff. And I said, "Can I go and get project management certified?" Because that's I had never you'd asked, I think you had noted on like any formal education or certs. Like I had never had anything formal. I'd listened to podcasts and stuff. And so from there is when I started studying for the PMP exam. Because, didn't realize ignorance is bliss. Didn't even realize there were certs for all this stuff. So it's like, let me go study for that exam. And I did. And I ended up with a CAP M. But yeah, I just went
That's
in a
so cool.
huge loop where I can't remember
No,
where
no,
we
no.
started from there.
No, I love that. And
Oh, you'd asked about
I
operations. Was that an easy transition? Yes, I feel like it
yeah,
was because it was still being
sure.
super organized, yet instead of managing the daily I feel like the biggest difference is in daily operations, like, it never ends. It's just a continual maintenance and improving of things where a project typically has a finite start and end. So, I was just taking that operational mindset and just putting it into, like, a finite bucket of something.
Yeah, I've found, running a PM firm, right? Like I've seen a lot of folks that have moved from operations into project management because honestly, like the monotony of operations bored
Yeah,
them, right? And so they
yeah.
always would have like a project that they could, work on internally. Just to your point,
Mhm,
Jackie,
yeah.
like that project that you described, the internal project, like that would excite them, and then they got to the
Mhm.
point where they wanted to switch over to being a project manager and having a bunch of different new challenges every single time.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. So thinking about that a little bit, right? Was there anything that was particularly challenging, something that stands out from that project that you wish you would have done differently, or you wish you had the toolkit that you got from the CAPM earlier?
Oh, man. So what do I wish I could have taken from the CAPM to the real project management world? I mean, the what I most took away from the type of projects I was doing was the planning phase, the bringing teams together, and kind of the monitoring and controlling. The crazy formulas where you had to memorize the schedules and the this and the that, like that had no application for me. But the planning and the charters, like I was doing those things without knowing what they were. I at the marketing agency, like, I put together a slide deck of my standard way to kick off a project, and you know how process oriented I am, and I didn't know a project charter was the thing, but that's what I was creating and hoping to reuse over and over again, and then when I learned what it was, I was like, "Well, shit, like, I would have been able to make this so much better." If I had
Right.
known, like, that there are, like, standard ways to do it, but I felt like it almost validated that I was on the right path and that this is what I was supposed to be doing. But some of the conflict management, the bringing teams together, the negotiations and the escalations, like, those were things I feel like those people skills are things that I still need work on, if I'm being completely honest. I'm very good at the technical things, but the people aspect and the tone of voices and the do I ask the right questions? Those are the things that I learned it from the CAPM on a textbook, but always need improvement in real life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the hardest skill for project managers to really learn. Like, how do you escalate? When do you need to escalate? When do you try to negotiate with that person who
Mhm.
isn't doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing? All
Mhm.
of those skills are tough. And honestly, a lot of
Yeah.
that is we get asked a lot to provide trainings on this stuff, right? It's
Mhm.
like
Okay.
you can't really train that. Like you need the experience or you need to see
Mhm.
that mentorship or that shadowing to actually observe
Mhm.
how someone manages and negotiates, right? You can give some training, but
Yes.
like it's really you need to actually experience it, I think, to really get value out of it.
Yeah, yeah, and I know for a conflict perspective, hate to admit it, but very much a fight or flight kind of person, and when there's conflict, like, my whole gut and everything just tenses up inside. I'm like, "Ugh," like, I don't wanna be here, but I found that I feel like I'm better at more facilitating and when I'm noticing that in a group project that, there might be tension here, somebody's not there's something going on behind the scenes with that person that I need to uncover, and just being very aware of dynamics and somebody seems off today. Let me I feel like I'm good in that way of kind of navigating the waters of all of the different dynamics. But if somebody comes up to me and confronts me or says you need to handle this with that person because they're screwing around, then I'm like, "Mm, no, don't make me do that. Don't no." But helping the team work
Yeah,
together well, is definitely something that I feel like I'm innately good at, but combining it with the training from PMI has been super helpful.
for sure. For sure. That's great. That talking about
Mhm.
Project Zero is so fun because it illustrates like all these different challenges that you face, some of the techniques that you use to get out of that particular project. And then, what I like to do after that is just talk more generally about some of the
Mhm.
lessons and the growth that you've done, over the
Mhm.
past, 10, 15 years by
Yeah.
moving into project management.
Yeah.
What would you say the number one skill is that you think project managers need, and why do you think that skill's so important?
My favorite, most oh my goodness, skill that I feel is most important is clear communication and setting clear not even setting, being clear on expectations and being super insanely clear about communication. 'Cause I have been screwed and burned so many times because or have found myself, like, up shit's creek because something wasn't communicated or expectations were never set or defining definition of done is so cliche now, but not defining what does done mean has just yeah. So that would be my most important what did you
Oh,
call it?
yeah.
Thing that a PM my advice to a PM would be
Oh, yeah.
over
For
communicate, be honest to a fault, and I mean, we've talked about this before many, many, many times, but when you're starting a project, You've gotta set roles and responsibilities, deadlines, who's doing what the budget's gonna be, what a fallout plan is, so then when shit does hit the fan, somebody knows what to expect because it's already been covered and it's documented somewhere. And I tell my clients and friends, family, anybody, like, I am gonna be honest to a fault, and I it doesn't matter because to me, like, that's who I am, and that's my reputation is I don't want you to be surprised by anything when you work with me. I'm gonna tell you how it is up front. If you don't like it, that's cool. You don't have to work with me, but that's how I work. And if tough love doesn't work for you, that's okay. But it's in the best interest of everybody to be blunt and upfront as nice as you can.
Love that. Love that advice. I mean, yeah, I think communication, it almost all the time when I ask what the number one skill is for everyone that I've interviewed so far, it's been something related to communication, right?
Has
Whether
it?
it's like the ability to negotiate or the
Mhm.
setting clear guidelines or anything like that. It's always around just being clear. And for all of you out there that don't have your PMP, the answer is always going to be address the situation no matter what as quickly as
Yes.
possible. So if there's ever an answer
Yes.
related to attacking the problem right away, that's the answer.
Yes, and admitting if you do screw up. I
Yeah.
am the first one to call myself out if I drop a ball, and I know not everybody's comfortable with that, or somebody doesn't wanna look like they don't know what they're doing, or, "Oh, if I admit I screwed up, I'm in trouble somehow." Ugh, I don't it's worked for me so far, you know?
Yeah.
But
I know like
whether it's
I
like
know I sit
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I know I sit from a place of privilege here, but because I have taken all the hits throughout my career and now I'm in a different
Mhm.
place, I've always admitted fault early, just like almost to a fault sometimes, but just getting that out of the way de-escalates the conflict with
Yes.
everyone. And they're
Yes.
like, "Oh wow,
Mhm.
Alex is taking the blame for this. Let's just figure
Mhm.
out the problem or the solution to the problem now." Right. And
Yes.
project managers, it's really nice to have a project manager there that can sort of take some of the heat. You don't have to take all the
Mhm.
heat, but taking some of that heat
Yeah.
is really helpful for that developer that didn't do the thing that they
Yeah.
were supposed to do, or that designer that didn't do the other
Yeah.
thing that they were supposed to do. So,
Yeah. And nobody likes working with someone who's always on their high horse, like, well, I didn't do that. That's not on me. That's your fault. Nobody likes working with somebody like that. And the PM's the orchestra conductor. They got to bring everybody together. And sometimes you got to take the fall. Or I feel like one of my favorite lines is, you know what? I don't know that. Let me go do some homework for you. Or,
yeah.
yeah, I screwed up. Or, another favorite line of mine is, "My memory's terrible," which it legitimately is, and if somebody's talking to me and they're like, "No, Jackie, isn't it this?" I'll be like, "You're probably right because my memory sucks, and let me go back." That's why I'm an obsessive note taker. So, I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm not right all the time." And surprise, I'm not right all the time. And but not many people will admit that. They like to get on the defensive and, "Well, no, I'm right." It's like fighting with your kids. You know how it works.
Exactly,
But it's
exactly.
always nice to
This
talk with somebody who can oh, sorry, who just can
no,
it just, like, takes like I said, de-escalates, it takes the tension out of a conversation. If somebody's willing to be like, "You know what? I did screw up there. Let's fix it."
yeah, I love that. This is a harder question because there's no right
Okay.
answer, but, like, how do you define success in a project? And has that changed over time at all?
How would I define success in a
Yeah,
project?
yeah, as a project manager, how would you define
As
success?
well, I would go back to the process, and I would, at the beginning, be super clear about what are we trying to achieve here? Whether it's a tech implementation, whether you're moving, to a new office building, whether you're trying to get a landing page up. What do we want to accomplish? What is the goal? I always like to ask, "Why are we doing this?" Why are we doing this? Why is it needed? And that a lot of times will drive what success means. And I, again, like to be super clear about that because if the why are we doing this is vague, I feel like buy-in from the rest of the team is tough. So if we can clearly articulate, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of it? The the definition of a success, a lot of times answers itself. So I always like to start a project with that is when we are done, what do you expect? And then we work backwards from that to make the project plan. So, for an example, let's see, for myself as a solopreneur a couple weeks ago, well, you and I were both on the ClickUp webinar together. And for me, that project, I said at the end of me preparing for this, what do I want to have accomplished? And for me, that was a landing page up with my free download. It was a, an email sequence. It was all these things. And I could have went down a rabbit hole forever, adding new things for me to do. But up front, I defined what do I want to accomplish at the end, and that's what I measured my success on.
Yeah, true. I love that. I love that
I
response
say I
because
don't know if that's too vague or fluffy but
no,
that's how I
I
attack
think
it.
it aligns with what your values are of like clear communication and setting
Mhm,
expectations on the front end, so there is no ambiguity, right?
mm,
At the end of the
mhm,
day, everyone agrees on it. So I love that.
mhm.
So what kind of advice would you give? Like you're the accidental project manager, right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people that are earlier in their careers that want to get into project management? Like they think that they have the desire, interest,
Mhm.
skills to be a project manager. What would you tell them
Yeah.
to do?
I would tell them to volunteer for things. If there is a company function and they need a committee to get things organized, volunteer. If you know in your heart if you're the type of person who likes to organize and plan or if you run for the hills. And if you're the type of person who is drawn to that, you volunteer to help out, volunteer to lead a committee, volunteer to, I don't know, to volunteer to do something where you can put that into practice, and somebody is going to recognize you for that. When I was interviewing for the director of ops at the marketing agency, I showed up to the interview with a notebook that had color coded tabs and like all and and he said after I got the job, he goes, As soon as you walked in with that notebook, like I knew you were going to be the right person." So
Love
I
it.
feel like if you're good at that sort of work, you don't even have to try hard. If you just be yourself, and the results will show for if you're meant to do that kind of work or not. So I would say explore. Do you like more textbook type projects? Do you just like to organize and bring people together? Are you the person who plans vacations, or do you like to party plan? Because the event planning, party planning, those are things that are projects, but we don't typically think of them as project management jobs, but they really are.
Oh yeah.
My advice would just be explore your curiosity, what you find good at and what you're drawn at, volunteer for things, step up, and somebody's gonna see that in you, and opportunities will probably come your way.
Yeah, and you can be like me and Jackie and run your entire household out of ClickUp.
You saw my Lego list, right? My
Oh
kids'
yes.
Lego catalog?
Oh, it's so good. I love it. I love it. All right.
Yeah, mhm,
You've seen the other episodes. It's speed round
yes.
time.
Alright, let's
All
go.
right. So Slack, email, text, or phone call.
Slack. You I'll
Slack.
call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You won't answer.
uh,
Yep,
at Agile or waterfall.
agile. Hybrid?
Okay.
Can I do hybrid agile?
Yeah. You're allowed to do whatever. You're allowed. So in this speed round, you're allowed to say whatever you want. You don't have
I can
to
make my own.
follow the rules, Jackie.
Yeah?
I know
Alright,
you're not a rule
hybrid?
follower.
No, I'm not. That's what gets me in trouble. No, agile, hybrid though, because some things have to follow a process, but then the rest you can be agile about.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Speed or perfection.
Oh, you know me.
I know
Perfection.
you. Yeah. You're recovering though. You're recovering.
I know. See, we
Um,
started to talk about Minecraft. I was like, "I just need to build stuff and stay alive," but I'm like, "No, I gotta build it the right way." I should
oh, I love it. What is your favorite PM tool?
click up.
ClickUp. Me too.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny. Funny how that
that's one of the
works.
things I wish I had many moons ago when we talked. You said, what would you do 10, 15 years ago?" I wish I had a project management tool. Anything, anything.
That's right.
I look back when I shame people for PMing and spreadsheets, I'm like, "I did that a decade and a half ago, but I won't tell anybody about it."
Seriously, isn't it crazy? Isn't that is
Oh,
crazy to me? I just had AJ on from ClickUp a couple of weeks ago, right?
uh-huh.
And he worked at Smartsheet before. went to ClickUp,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so he has this concept of that. And he was talking about how he was running projects out of a spreadsheet before he went to Smartsheet. And it was just like this light bulb moment. But like
Yeah.
all of us
We
were
all
either
did.
running projects out of Microsoft Project, right? On the
Well,
desktop where,
yeah.
you have
Well,
this
I
one
have my
project.
thing,
There you go.
but now I use spreadsheets for what spreadsheets should be used for, not
Yeah.
PMing, but I still have this because I love it. I love that.
It's so good.
Back to
So
my
good.
roots.
All right. All right. So you told me your favorite one. Do you have a worst PM tool, like the one you hate to see a client using?
Oh, hmm, spreadsheets.
Okay. Good.
I mean,
Good,
I
good. I
haven't
like that.
dabbled. I've used Teamwork, I've used Trello, ClickUp. I don't have to be honest, I've used Teamwork and ClickUp the most, and I haven't had a lot of experience with Asana or Basecamp or Monday or any of those, but spreadsheets, just stop using spreadsheets for the love
Yeah.
of everything holy.
It
Stop
is
using
you you can use like so many free tools. Like ClickUp has a
Oh
free
my
version and
god. Yes.
yeah. Run
Yes.
my
Yes.
nonprofit off of the free version. So
Uh-huh.
um
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
run my craft projects out of
Yeah.
the paid version.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Final reflections here.
'Kay.
If you could give little Jackie coming out of college one piece of
Oh
advice, like something was
god.
going to happen in the future, don't do it, right? Career wise, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there
Yeah.
are plenty of other non career related things, but career wise, would you have changed anything or would you have given any advice to change anything?
I have a very heavy answer for this, and it's very emotional. My advice to younger Jackie would be that oh, see, again,
Oh,
that this is real life though, would be every setback's not a failure. I have whew, I had when Jessica and I chatted on her podcast, I got the same way.
yeah.
Through my career, through my health diagnoses, I felt like such a failure because I couldn't keep a job. I found out I had narcolepsy. I couldn't get up in the morning. Like I had such a I had it in my head that I had such a track record for failing, and it was such a shitty feeling, and that everything, everything leads to something else, and everything happens for a reason. So, I would tell myself or anybody starting out, whether you're coming right out of school or somebody commented on one of my YouTube videos yesterday that they got laid off last year and they're struggling and they saw one of my videos and it gave them inspiration and it made them feel hopeful. And that was everything to me that, you know, you're gonna fall. I've fallen on my face so many times, but it will lead to the next thing and it will lead to the next thing. And I'm telling myself that now, building up my second business is, you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And there are days and weeks where I feel like I'm failing, but it's getting me to the next step. Whatever that Thomas Edison quote of I haven't failed, I've just found 1,000 ways it doesn't work or whatever that I feel
That's
like
right.
that is my
Love it.
life. Like I've just found another way that doesn't work, but I'm closer to finding what will work. So that is my advice to younger Jackie or anybody who feels stuck right now.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's so
Whew.
and as a thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
As a fellow used to be perfectionist who still tries to be a perfectionist sometimes,
Gonna
um,
start a club, a real club.
yeah, it's a like and it's funny, perfectionists often gravitate towards project management, right? That
Yeah, it's
order.
bad.
You have to be kind to yourself, right? Like I say this to
Yes.
anyone out there, just be kind to yourself, right? And I mean, you
Mhm.
figured that out. You wish you figured it out a
Oh,
decade or two ago, but you
yes,
figured it
yes.
out now.
I
Yeah,
do. Having kids
yeah.
help with
And
that because I try to
unfortunately, our
not
kids
care
aren't gonna
as
listen
much.
to us. They're gonna have to fail on
No.
their own and figure it out on their own. But yeah.
Yes,
Speaking
and
of
one of them
kids,
is yeah.
Speaking of kids, all right. I know you finally got into Minecraft after I
I
like threw it
y
out there, right?
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yep.
do you and your kids have a ClickUp project plan yet? And if not, what does your
For
future look like?
Minecraft?
Yeah, for
No.
Minecraft.
Oh, I never I should have that should have been the first thing I thought about. No. We do not. We have a Lego project plan in ClickUp. We love board games. We have an ongoing phase 10 game right now, and I have a phase 10 list where I keep track of who's on what phase when we start at the game because we play and we wait like a week until we play again. But I don't have a Minecraft project plan. Tell me what yours has, because I need some
All right, so
inspo.
we don't have a ClickUp
Oh,
project plan, but Elsie,
okay.
my 9-year-old,
Yeah,
she if I ever need to get her focused on something. What's interesting about Elsie is
yeah,
she'll just sit on a couch and read for hours, right? But if I engage her, she'll like jump right in. So
okay.
anyway, this weekend she's like, "Dad, I want to create a set of houses. Like I want to explore the entire map, right? And I want to create multiple
Yeah,
maps and link them together. And we should
okay.
create a series of houses that we can travel the entire day to and then sleep in that one and then travel to the next house and sleep in that one. And then I'm like, all right, well, let's build a plan for that, right? Like we're going to need different
Yeah.
resources and all that stuff. And so we just
Yep,
sat down
yep.
and she drew it all out and she's got like these
I
objectives
love
and key
that.
results tied to each one of those goals.
Of
So
course she's got
um
OKRs. You're her
yeah,
father.
and she's got tasks associated with each one.
Oh
So
my
anyway,
god.
we're working on it right
I
now. It's
love that.
handwritten, but it's
Yeah,
there.
no,
So, yeah.
that's and we're gonna have to have a side conversation about this because, of course, my kids remember everything, and they're like, "Can you talk to your friend Alex about how he makes all those roller coasters?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, we will." But I was thinking
That's
that because in my first 2 days playing not Minecraft days, but 2 real days, I'm like, "Okay, I wanna I wanna wander the worlds, but I don't wanna have to rebuild every time, so I need I need a strategy, and I don't have a strategy yet, so I'm YouTubing and subredditing everything. So I'll need some advice on how to explore without having to start from scratch all the time. But I like that. I think we should because my younger son, he's just turned 6 and my oldest is 7. Evan wants to make like houses all next to each other that we can all sleep in and share. And I found a video on YouTube where we can make a pool. So we're gonna have a pool in our little area. But he loves to collect animals, and I've been just carving into caves, and then he goes in and, like, he goes, "Mommy, look, I put a couch in here for you, so it's comfy."
I love it.
So,
I love it.
I
I think
love
we're
the
onto
idea of
something,
making a
Jackie.
plan.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe a project management for Minecraft to teach kids something about project
Well,
management. I don't know. I
you
don't
know
know.
what I did last summer? I called it a kitty Kanban board for summer activities.
Love it.
And I got a, like, 2 by 3 foam board from Michaels, and I made columns, like, what did I call like, wish list? No, to do, planned, in progress, done, and we had color-coded Post-it notes for, like, outdoor activities or inside stuff, and then we sat down, and with Post-it notes, they wrote down everything they wanted to do, like, wanted to go go-karting, go to the lighthouse, go to the water park, go to the zoo, and and then the other side was a calendar. So I tried to add like the multiple views and ClickUp. So we had a board and we had a calendar. So we would when it moved to planned, we would stick another post-it note on the calendar of when we were going to do it. So I was trying to make ClickUp analog for them, but so we could visually see all the stuff we wanted to do for the summer. And I recorded it. I never edited it. I'll have to do that. But it was such a cool way for them to plan and because they would literally go to the board and be like, "Oh, what can we do today?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm making tiny project managers and I'm gonna regret it one day." But
I love it. I love it, Jackie. Oh my God. Well, this has been really, really
yep.
fun. How
Yes.
should people connect with you? Right. Tell them where to find you.
Yeah, awesome. So my website is productivitynerd.consulting. I realize it's way too long to type. I should probably rebrand at some point. But at YouTube, I'm at productivity-nerd. On LinkedIn, it's just me, Jacqui Myslinski, Jacqui, like it's spelled there. I have Instagram. I don't really use it. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it yet. But LinkedIn or YouTube would be the best way to find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie. I think that's a
Yeah.
wrap. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thanks for sharing
Oh,
your story and laughs and
this was
stuff. It was fun.
I think next time we should just do a kitty project management episode.
Heck yeah. Done.
We said we'll
Done.
do another
Let's
one.
just tell me where to be. Tell me where to be.
All right.
All
We'll
right.
meet up
And
at the
thanks to
playground again.
everyone. Yeah. Thanks to everyone who joined us at Project Zero this week. Be sure to subscribe to Project Zero wherever you get your podcasts, and we will catch you next time. Thanks again, Jackie.